Boruto, episode 47, The Figure I Want to Be. So this is officially the final episode of the Byakuya Gang arc, and I thought it was a pretty good episode. It was nice to see, like I mentioned before, I like the fact that it really was a big focus on someone other than Boruto, and we got to see Shikadai kind of take focus. So I thought that was fun. Of course, he takes over most of the focus in this episode as well. I would say it was definitely more split than the other episodes, where obviously it was just, as far as heroes go, it was just Boruto and Shikadai until Naruto came in at the end, which was a pretty awesome scene. But the whole episode I thought was pretty cool. They get trapped in the genjutsu, which I thought was pretty sweet, and they have the typical thing where it's like, oh, one person's under a spell or whatever. Like, it's not just in Naruto or Boruto, but in just everything. Like, oh, I thought you were the enemy in that thing. So they go through that for a little bit, and Shikadai is able to snap Boruto out of it. He gets him with the release, which I thought was funny because I was like, that whole time they were fighting, he couldn't just hit him with the release, or just while they were fighting, like he couldn't just do a quick dodge, boom, release. I was like, that's interesting. And the first thing I thought was just boom, shadow paralysis. You got him. You're good to go. I figured that would be how they got out of it, because Boruto would realize, oh, I'm caught in the shadow paralysis, and he would instantly realize, oh crap, it's a genjutsu. But I like the way he came out of it, and it was just like, oh, by chance was I under a genjutsu? And it's like, yeah, you are. It's like, okay. And it was pretty much how he came out of it. He wasn't like freaked out. It was just like, oh, I understand what just happened. And then of course they went through the, for people, all the new Boruto viewers, where it's like, clearly you're too young to have seen Naruto, so it was like, oh, and you helped me release it because you channeled your chakra into my chakra, and that broke the genjutsu. And I was like, okay, exposition, but they had to put it in there. They gotta find their way to reintroduce the younger viewers to the world. So it was just one of those moments where I was like, yep, I already knew that, but okay, thanks. So they got out of that, which I thought was cool. Ryogi, this whole episode, using his powers, I thought looked great. Like visually, this is one of my favorite episodes so far, just with him using his ice powers and like him making the ice wall and trapping them in that with the mirrors and stuff. I thought that looked really cool when he was under the main guy's like full genjutsu, and it started to like really take over his body, and he just lost his mind, and he's like making like shockwaves and stuff, and he like everything like freezes over. I was like, that visually that actually looked really, really cool. And he's just like shooting ice like when they're on top of the train, inside the train. And I was like, all of that actually looks really, really cool. So I love the visuals for this episode, and I really enjoyed that. Naturally, we finally got to the end, and they of course revealed that the guy tricked him the entire time. It does turn out though, because my whole theory was that he basically tricked his dad into like running back home and all that stuff. It turns out that it was just him. Like he just basically messed with their minds, and he straight up rewrote his memories. Actually, when he was a kid, he didn't even do anything. He just killed his dad and then killed his mom and just rewrote his memories. So we saw the altered memories and not the truth. So I was like, oh, it wasn't even like he was using his genjutsu at the time. He actually just got him after the fact, and he basically had him trapped under that forever, like pretty much his whole life. And that's why he had the tattoo, because when it was being wiped away, that's why he was having these glimpses. And it was like, oh, just look at yourself, you're freaking out. And when he looked in the mirror, he hit him with the genjutsu, and that's when the whole tattoo came back. And I was like, oh, that's really cool, because I always just thought it was kind of like pretty much any genjutsu we've seen, or any jutsu in general. It has to be done, and then that's how it works. It can't be done like after the fact. But it was a lot more advanced than I thought it was, where he legitimately rewrote his memories. I thought he just had to make him see what he wanted him to see, or he tricked other people into doing it, and it would somehow get revealed. But it was like, nope, I just straight up rewrote his entire memories, and as long as that little tattoo seal is on his hand, fake memories all day long. So I was like, well, that's actually an even cooler way of doing it, because it's actually stronger. But I really enjoyed that, and the guy pretty much ends up getting away until the end. But the way they handled that I thought was really cool, with Shikadai trying to help Ryogi, and Boruto using the clones and using the I forgot what he called it, like the wind bullet thing that they use, the Boruto stream. And so Shikadai does it, and he's shooting through all the ice and everything as Ryogi's like losing it, and he hits him with the release, and he's able to break the genjutsu after all this time. So I thought that was cool. Once again, visually great scene. And it's like, all right, so we saved Ryogi. He's kind of messed up a little. It's like, crap, all this time, I even said I would be okay being a pawn, even though it's to avenge my parents and stuff like that. So pretty fun. I was like, all right, I like the way that was handled. And then I was like, all right, well, there's quite a few minutes left in the episode. Somehow they're gonna stop this guy. And so they're standing there after the train stops, because of course the dude he took the main car and left everyone else behind. So I'm like, well, I wonder how they're gonna catch him. And they're just standing there. It's like, yeah, I guess we. He's just gone. And then it's just silent. And there's just like a bullet flew past them. And I was like, I'm assuming that was Naruto, but man, he just flew past them so fast. And then he's in front of the train. And the way they did it was kind of funny because they made it seem like he just literally obliterated the guy. Like he just did the BG bomb like straight out his hand and just eviscerated everything. Like they do like like the white like kind of a whiteout screen. But he stopped him. However he did, he stopped him. And they get the scroll back, and I thought it was really cool. They actually open it up and everything, and it's like, here's the device from the Boruto movie, and they start to go into it like, oh, what's this device anyway? And it's like, oh, well, this allows you to do this. And they kind of get into the Boruto movie stuff. And I was like, all right, well, that's pretty cool. And we get to see the main guy. He's in jail. Ryogi's also in jail, which I don't watch Dragon Ball Super, but I know the characters. And I know I'm not crazy, but they had to have realized, like, oh, if we put this character in, like, black and gray, and he's got the pink hair, people are going to think of Goku Black. Like, that was the first thing I thought, and I don't even watch Dragon Ball Super. I've seen the character enough to be like, he looks like he's dressed like Goku Black. Like, he was in the black. It was legitimately, like, almost the same thing. It was, like, the V and everything. It was, like, black and then kind of gray. It just didn't have, like, any white whatsoever. But it was, like, that makes me think of Goku Black. He's got the pink hair and everything. So it was kind of funny just looking at it. And I was like, they had to know what they were doing there, right? Like, I know animation, it takes time, but Goku Black has been out for a super long time, and I think they would have known that just a little bit ahead of time, maybe, with the manga and everything. I don't even know if Dragon Ball Super has a manga. I don't think it does. But it was funny. I was just like, they didn't really think about that one, huh? I guess it may have just been too late, and they didn't want to change the colors. But I just thought it was super funny. I was like, he looks like Goku Black. Obviously just the dress and the hair, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty cool episode. I'm glad to see that the arc has officially come to an end. We're going into who knows how many filler episodes, but it was funny enough. As soon as this episode was ending, I was like, man, it would be kind of cool if we got to see a focus on, not Emiko, I can't even think of the dude's name, but Metal and Denki's team, Iwabe, that's what it was. If we saw like a bit of a focus on their team, that would be pretty cool. And then the promo comes on, and the whole episode next week is going to be about them. And I was like, well, that's pretty sweet because that's exactly what I was hoping for. Because I was like, I want to see more of those characters. I want to see what they decide to do with Iwabe as well as Denki, because of course they're characters that didn't exist in the movie when the movie first came out. So now I was like, all right, well, now we're retconning it a little bit, adding those characters in, and we kind of see how that ends up playing out. So I'm looking forward to. I don't think that it'll be too crazy in the next episode, and I'm sure that they will end up being in the tuning exams, and that'll be like, an added thing that was never in the movie because those two characters didn't exist. So I was like, all right, well, we'll kind of add it in, and, that's just how they'll kind of boost the roster a little bit during the tuning exams, and maybe we'll just get to see more cool stuff because the tuning exams are actually really sweet. If you haven't read the manga or seen the movie, they're actually pretty cool. Like, the action in those sequences are actually really good. Some of the members that come from other villages. When Gaara's, I'm pretty sure it's his son. That kid is like super cool. Like he has like metal sand, I think it is. Just the design for that character is like insanely sweet. So I can't wait to see that officially come into play. But I'm definitely looking forward to checking out this next episode and getting a little bit more on some of the side teams. Well, we probably will get what I was kind of hoping for a little bit in the beginning anyway, was, let's get like, maybe a couple filler episodes. Maybe, I wouldn't mind, 2, maybe 3 max, and we just get to see what the other teams are doing. There'll probably only be 2 more because like there's really like 4 main teams. Of course, you have Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sadara. Then you have Shikadai, Inoue, and Chocho. And then after that, you have Denki, Iwabe, and Metal, and then Sumidi's team. So those are like really the 4 teams. Everyone else we see every once in a while, like the goth girl with the super long hair, but they don't have. I'm sure they do have names, but it's like we don't really know them at all. So those are like the 4 teams, and we've already obviously the main character is Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sadara. We've seen a million times. Shikadai just had his thing, so we got to see a little bit of Chocho and Inajin there as well. And then the next episode is going to focus on the 3rd team, which is going to be Metal, Denki, and Iwabe. So if they do, 2 more filler episodes, I would assume we're going to get to see what Sumini and her team have been up to and just see a little bit more about them. And then right after that, we officially get into the Boruto movie arc. So that's my, my guess on it. It is Boruto, so who knows how many fillers they may or may not actually have for us. Kind of going down the line, this stuff with Iwabe's team could be like 3 or 4 episodes. It could be his own little super annoying arc. I hope it's one episode because like what they're going through is like, oh yeah, it seems intense because it's like, we want to be recommended by our sensei, but we didn't help anything with the Byakuya gang, so they're freaking out about failing. And I'm just like, I hope that's one episode because I mean, it could become something cool. I just kind of doubt it. So maybe they'll come across some crazy mission that only they can solve, or they're the only ones that are there to solve it. Maybe that's what we'll get to see in like one or two episodes. But I'm kind of just hoping it'll be a nice, funny episode. Maybe we'll get a cool action sequence, whatever they're doing with this documentary. And it was, just a decent one episode. It's like, hey, don't worry, you guys are going to the Chunin exams, and then we go to Sumidi's team, and then after that, officially we start the Boruto movie arc. So that's what I'm hoping. I hope we don't have too many fillers to get back into the groove of things and get kind of going into the actual manga storylines. But I thought this was a fun episode. I thought it was a good conclusion to the arc. It's one of those moments where I am curious what they're going to end up doing with Ryogi, because it's just like with the dude from the water village. It was like, okay, he's in the opening and stuff, which I still feel like was a waste. I thought for sure he was coming back during this arc, because I'm like, they were halfway through that arc when they put him in the opening. I was like, there's got to be more of a reason, and then there wasn't. He never showed up again. So I don't know, maybe this opening will still be there for quite a while and we'll see him come back before it changes. But I was just like, thought he'd be like a part of the arc or something was going to happen there, but never showed up. But they got another character who hasn't been killed off or anything like that, and it's just like another child character who could grow up with the kids. And it's like, all right, they did that with Sumidi. She stayed with them. The other kid stayed at his village, and now they have Ryogi who's in prison, but of course he can get out, and they can kind of bring him back whenever they want to. So it's like they're definitely doing that stuff on purpose. And honestly, I would love to see Ryogi join just because of his Keke Genkai. I just visually, especially with this one, I just think it looks sweet, even though he wouldn't use it all the time. I'm like, he's just a powerful character. I would kind of just like to see him in battles. So that's just kind of my thing on it. That probably wouldn't be for a long time anyway, but I just thought that was a cool little thing where it's like, clearly they didn't kill him for a reason. They can totally bring him back. And it'd be like, he was under this spell and he was tricked his whole life, and for some reason that'll count and he'll get out at some point. But I don't know, looking forward to what we're getting next and kind of how soon we're going to be getting to the movie arc. But of course, would love to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And going forward with Metal, Iwabe, and Denki, I would love to know what other teams you guys would like to see. We probably won't see anything outside of them, and then like I said, the fourth really important team, which is Sumidi's team. I feel like that's where it'll stop, but I would love to know if you guys, for whatever reason, are interested in getting to know more about some of the other characters that have shown up, some of the other kids in the groups. So we'll definitely love to know how you guys are feeling about that and what you want to see and kind of what you expect to see going forward as well. Because like I said, who knows how many fillers we're getting. So I would love to know your theories on where we're headed as well. But all in all, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below, let me know. And of course, thanks for watching.